Hello, my name is Brian Deming, and I did the movie Gulliver's Travels, and I'm taking a look at utopian land. Gulliver's Travels is a fantasy movie, and it's about a man named Lemuel Gulliver, who's played by Ted Danson, and his wife is Mary Steenburgen, whose name is Mary in the movie. And Lemuel Gulliver is a surgeon, but it's hard to make money in his homeland, so he goes on a boat. He goes on a boat as a surgeon, and his boat wrecks, and he spends about 9 years that he ends up traveling to different islands, because when his boat wrecks, he kind of floats on a piece of wood to an island, and then when he tries to escape that island, he ends up going somewhere else, and he ends up spending 9 years away. And each island he goes to is a new adventure for him. In one island he is a midget. The ratio of the size of him to the people who inhabit the island is 1 to 12. And the next island he goes to, he's a giant, where the ratio is 12 to 1. And he also lives with people who are trying to experiment with things that everyone knows won't work, such as softening marble to put in pillows and extracting sunlight from cucumbers. So he kind of gets a look at a bunch of different aspects of life. And Gulliver's Travels is based on a book by Jonathan Swift. And I think that Jonathan Swift is trying to show all the problems with society in a kind of dumbed down version by having him travel to all these lands. The one land that he did travel to is called the Land of the Houyhnhnms, which is what I'm taking a look at as a utopia. Houyhnhnms are a race of talking horses, and they inhabit the island with a race of savage humans that don't have a language, and they're called Yahoos. In the Land of the Houyhnhnms, there's no government. They don't really understand the meaning of government, because most of the time on the island, Lemuel spends time contrasting the ideas of his land with the land of the Houyhnhnms while talking to a mayor, and he finds out a bunch of stuff, such as it is a custom in the Houyhnhnm society that when they meet someone, that there's a short pause before either one of them speaks, and Lemuel discovered that it made him think about what he wanted to say more, which in result made him think if it's going to sound bad or if it's going to be a good thing to say, and what the consequences of his actions are. Lemuel Gulliver starts to like the Houyhnhnms more than his own race of people, and he starts to consider himself more Houyhnhnm because he realizes all of the problems that are with his race back at home. And when he returns from his 9-year voyage, he tells everyone of his journeys. Obviously no one's ever seen people that are 12 times smaller than them, or people that are 12 times bigger than them. And so he's put into a mental institution, and he's being evaluated by a panel of doctors, I guess, and also people of the town, because it's an unusual case. He's telling these wild stories of, yeah, he went to his land and horses talked. And while he's being evaluated, he's kind of making a mockery of his own race by saying that, horses are better than them because they think before they talk, they don't have a government, they don't value diamonds. The Yahoos that inhabit the island mine rocks to rub on themselves, and inside the rocks are diamonds that have no value. So it eliminates greed in their country, it eliminates theft, and it eliminates jealousy, which he likes because, with what he could pick up off the ground, he could be rich and powerful in his country, but he doesn't want to be like that. And the word Houyhnhnm in the Houyhnhnm language actually means perfection of nature, which means they don't understand the need for using animals as labor. And Lemuel's trying to tell the mayor that in his country, horses are used for plowing land, they're used for travel. I mean, and he talks about how cruel they are to horses. Males are generally castrated when they're 2 years old to take down their spirits, and when they're no longer of use, they're butchered, skinned, and sold for dog meat. And he kind of begins to like that the Houyhnhnms are such a peaceful animal. And while he's being evaluated, he's calling everyone in the room a Yahoo, and he even realizes himself that he still has issues that he sees in the Yahoos. The Houyhnhnms also don't understand the need for clothing, because Lamb is trying to explain how in his country the type of clothes that a person wears will tell you how important they are, how much money they have. And since they don't understand the need of power, they don't understand that different clothes represent the power of a person, and they don't understand that people would be immodest and be preoccupied with sex if they didn't wear clothes. And Lemuel's telling the panel of doctors about how humans would be immodest and how the Houyhnhnms don't understand the need for clothes, and the Yahoos depict everything that humans are in his society in a dumbed down version. Like, the Yahoos choose their leader based on the most mischievous person in their tribe, and that person generally picks a counterpart, which would probably be like a vice president, and which his job is to drive the female Yahoos to his den. And he continues in office till an even worse candidate is chosen, in which then he is discarded and everyone really doesn't like him. Which is kind of saying, like, usually whoever is picked for an office in any type of government isn't really liked by everyone. And usually they don't do what they said they're going to do in their campaign when they're in office. And I have a little video here showing there's no sound.
Oh.
That's okay.
Oh, no, I might have my sound turned off.
No, it's not that important. I'll just go on.
Sure?
Yeah.
Okay.
And the way I'm bringing back this example of utopia to history is there was a utopian society that was founded in 1843 in Harvard, Massachusetts, called the Fruitlands. And the small group of people who lived there were vegetarians. They didn't use animal products for food, for clothes. They didn't use animals for labor. So it didn't last very long because, I mean, you can't use animal furs, which is going to keep you very warm. They use linen, which in the winter, linen isn't going to be very warm. And the only food they ate was what grew up from the soil. They didn't eat anything that grew beneath the soil because they didn't want to disrupt the ecosystem beneath the soil as well as the ecosystem above. And it's similar to the Houyhnhnms because I believe that Jonathan Swift made the race of inhabitants of the land of the Houyhnhnms horses because they don't eat meat, they don't own property, they obviously don't use other animals for labor if they're not going to do it themselves, which is pretty much like the Fruitlands. I mean, they're both vegetarians. They both don't use animals for labor. And there's my references.
Okay. Did when you were examining the Fruitlands, was someone in charge?
There was a man who founded it.
Okay.
But he wasn't in charge.
Okay.
They didn't believe in government. It was kind of a British anarchist type thing, I guess.
Okay.
So they also didn't believe in government, which the Houyhnhnms don't have a government either. So there was a man who did found it, but he was equal to everyone else. It wasn't like he was telling them that, oh, you shouldn't eat that, you shouldn't wear that. They just all kind of did it together. And they also didn't own any property, so
Okay.
it also eliminated greed, arguments over who owns more property,
Right.
eliminates who's most powerful, because, I mean, generally in society, whoever has most land, biggest house, is generally the most powerful, which they don't have in their society.
Okay, very good. Thank you very much.
Thank you.